Welcome back, everyone, to another Friday night market conversations. The church bells are ringing. It's been a very interesting week in crypto, as well as for myself personally. I'll tell you, I've got myself involved in a couple of projects. I'm working on an Excel spreadsheet with an incredible man from Twitter so that folks that are either considering or already using these borrowing lending platforms like BlockFi and Nexo and Celsius and Abra, etc., Voyager app, so that they can start to understand ahead of time before they execute something what they're looking at. And I kind of break it down into tiers. The first tier is leveraging this counterparty who uses crypto to have a liquidity pool for institutional players, OTC desks, etc. So these businesses, they get folks like you and I to lend them our digital assets, and they're going to pay us a return on that. Well, if you're dealing with an asset, for instance, like Bitcoin or XRP and currently Ether, XLM, things of that nature, the only return on investment we're going to get as investors is the actual capital appreciation of the asset. Well, for those of us that have been in a 900 plus day bear market, we'd like to kind of get some returns right now, because although we've had some nice price action over the last 12 days, we're seeing what's happening today. And maybe that bull run that we all thought was going to happen, it's happened. And now we're due for a correction. Who knows? I can't look at the future, but I know that a lot of folks would like to see a return. And one of the ways we can do that is leverage these counterparty organizations, these platforms. Now, they advertise stuff, but a lot of their marketing isn't exactly, doesn't have a tremendous amount of integrity behind it, because they're advertising things like 7, 8, 9, 10% return on your assets that you lend them. Well, that may be possible, but the hoops you have to jump through to get to that level, it isn't as simple as just moving your assets to the platform and allowing them to use them. A lot of times you have to actually acquire their particular platform coin that they've created out of thin air. And if you use this coin, it's going to add this much return. But anyway, back to the spreadsheet. So this thing we're designing is so that you can input your particular platform that you're looking at, put in the real rates, the real amount of your asset, and be able to extrapolate, whether it be on a daily, a weekly, a monthly, or a yearly basis, the return on asset that you're going to receive. Now, if you were able to do that and you knew ahead of time that you were going to do that, then you could start to either a budget, because maybe some of us would like to use the interest that we're being paid to dollar cost average into other investments. Maybe there's a token that you really like. But yeah, I don't necessarily want to come out of the grocery budget. The wife might not like it, or the husband might not like it if I do that. So maybe if I'm getting $30, $20 a week or month from one of these platforms that I can dollar cost average into some of these projects that I want to be a part of, that might be a nice way to leverage your existing assets to acquire more assets. There's always just leave it there and acquire more of the underlying asset. You put in 100 XRP, and at the end of the year, you have 108 XRP. And then that compounds, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's one element. I took it to the next level, because I'm thinking, at my age, with really no income to speak of, maybe there's a way for me to leverage my existing assets to generate something that I can buy substantially more assets. And so what I started looking into were the loans against assets. And so, for instance, just case in point, on Nexo, because of the loan to asset ratio, in other words, the collateralization ratio is such that I can take a loan against my assets, receive that cash, which I will pay a US dollar rate of interest on. So I will pay US dollars back on that loan. But because I'm so over collateralized, the rate of return that I'm receiving on the interest for my collateralized assets is so much higher than the interest that I'm paying. I'm able to leverage X amount of US dollars that I can either use for living expenses or to acquire some more assets. So the spreadsheet allows you to put those numbers in, and you can see through this spreadsheet that we're building, you could say, okay, I want a $2,000 loan. It's going to cost me this much per day or this much per week. The collateralized assets are going to earn this much per day or this much per week. And then we have a whole little schedule that if you use 95% of the interest paid to you to pay off the interest on the loan you took and principal of the loan you took, it will take you this many days, weeks, months, years to pay that back. And you can do this all without actually having to do it. So you can properly plan and understand what you're talking about. The reason I felt this was important is because I saw so many people talking about this concept, and when asked about the actual fundamentals of it, what are the ramifications of this? Have you really done the numbers? Well, yeah, I did it. How did you do it? Oh, I took an envelope, I turned it up, and wrote on the back. I just did some math and, 5% against this percent. And I went, oh, wow. Very, very interesting. Somebody should do something. And that's what sparked this. So the spreadsheet thing is happening. Interesting project to be a part of. I'm really happy. Let me go through the chat real quick because I see it looks like it's been moving pretty good. So XRPOG, good to have you. Bra XRP, good to have you. Bill, gosh, Bill, thanks so much for the support. Crypto Ice, Tony. We got Phil, good to see you, Phil. Simon, RM is in the house. DC Precise, we got Moorish Prince. Boy, there's some names. Tony, Jungle, Inc. Hey, Jungle, good to see you, brother. Dev Null Productions is in the house. We've got Boobs Are Great. Big fan. Digital Asset News. Hey, Rob, good to see you. Let's see. I was going to transition. There's some other great stuff going on. But I wanted to ask, I'm looking in the green room, Crypto Ceej has not made it. And I have not received word back from him on Twitter. And when I phoned him, he did not pick up the phone. This was just a couple minutes before showtime because I hadn't seen him. I'm curious, is there one among you in the audience tonight that would like to come in, join me in studio, and talk about what you've seen going on this week, or some investment principle or thought, some exit strategy that you've been thinking about? I'd love to have you. And I'll tell you, it's really interesting for me that for myself, I see some growth in myself. Most of the time I can see growth in other people, but I don't so much see it in myself. And it wasn't until I went back and reviewed just recently a Beyond Moon episode I did with Cryptopolis. This is a year ago, where I put a tremendous amount of thought in preparation in designing an exit strategy where I would use the capital that my investments from this digital asset space to create a passive income lifestyle, right? To receive an income of thousands of dollars a month without touching my principal. And I thought that was a very sound practice. And it was an incredible thing to do. But as I look at it today, here we are a year later, just 1 year later, and I'm starting to view this space differently. I'm starting to view things that matter to me. They may not matter to you. But one of the things that was always one of those, I just took it for granted a year ago, was that I was going to give the US government 20% of everything that my investments profit. They call it capital gains. And as I've done more and more research, there are actually many ways to receive an income from your assets once they've matured, where you can leverage different counterparties and different structures, whether they be LLC businesses, what have you, where you change your tax bracket in your tax liability. Well, 20% of millions is a lot of money. And that's really exactly what I intend to do. So I also started thinking about this particular concept, and it was only recently, last month or two, and that was this. I had exit points in the form of US dollars, $5, $10, $15. And I started really thinking to myself, am I selling myself short? Well, I know why I came up with those dollar amounts. I came up with those dollar amounts because I knew that at some point I wanted to transition from my very modest lifestyle that I live now to one where I could build a home, where I could travel, that I could start to enjoy life in a different way. Well, I'll be honest, none of those results have to change, but maybe the way I go about doing them, the process in which I design an exit strategy, may be, quite possibly, I don't exit out of crypto. I leverage other platforms. Maybe at those price points, right, when my portfolio value is in the million or millions, maybe my ability to borrow what I need and want to live will still be well under the interest that those assets are generating. And that was a very, very interesting thought experiment. Can you imagine not selling your crypto, but yet receiving an incredible injection of cash on a monthly basis and having it cost you nothing? When I say nothing, obviously there's a cost. So instead of making, $12,000 a month in interest, I make $6,000 a month in interest. It's a very interesting thought experiment, one that I hope everybody at least acknowledges and works through conceptually. Because here is the thing. Oh, hi, Crypto Ari. If you're in a position where you're holding assets that will create substantial amounts of wealth, you have to ask yourself this question. Once you sell it, then you are subject to the market, right? Are you going to buy back in later? Dollar cost average in after you've sold 100,000 XRP? You're going to dollar cost average into some other project? All that sounds great, but until you actually work through the numbers, it may not be that great. So it's another nugget. It's another little nugget. It's another little thing to kind of look at, address. And it reminded me to stay open-minded and pliable through the process. Don't get hamstringed by a line of thinking that I believed was sound a year ago. Stay open-minded. Be willing to change my opinion as new information comes into play. These are all things that I'm learning from you, the community, for me to develop my investor mindset. So, Brady, throw on the screen. Did I miss any questions? I know I kind of went off on a slight little bit of a rant, but I'll tell you, I see one statement from Crypto Airy that I love, and that is collateralized for life. That may be a great identifier for this particular line of thinking. Collateralized for life. Eddie, you're the best. That's actually very good. I may use that. So, we have some interesting stuff happening in the space. One, I want to just share the screen real quick because I think it's really important to address, and that is there is a new wave of participation in this digital asset space, and it's coming from the legacy capital markets, whether there be family offices, hedge funds, more and more endowment funds for universities and other major entities like that, state, county, city, federal pension plans, private corporation pension plans, etc. We even have publicly traded companies allocating digital assets to their balance sheet. Now, when I got into the space, and many of you, we had always had that allure, right? The dream of the institutional investor coming into this space and taking us to the next level. Well, we're seeing that play out in real time. And one of the great little tools that I have in my toolbox, is called Real Vision. Real Vision's done a really good job of creating easily accessible content. For instance, yes, they are a paid subscription content provider, but case in point, they put out a free show Monday through Friday, right after the market closes in New York, called the Real Vision Daily Briefing, where they go over the financial news and market news of the day. Very helpful. I get it in my inbox and my email every day after the markets close. Most of the time, it's got good stuff because they're talking about the real markets. And occasionally, cryptocurrency is a part of that. And then they started this crypto tier, which is free. Again, sponsored by a couple of big entities. One is Silvergate Bank, and the other is BlockFi. And this particular video that you see on the screen here is a buddy of ours, Santiago Velez, being interviewed by Raoul Pal, and the entire hour-long episode is about XRP, the XRP ledger, the XRP ledger ecosystem. And what's wonderful about it is that the world of institutional investors is not tribal. They are value oriented. Most of these guys have a macro outlook. So therefore, it is the ideal audience for the crypto space. I, for one, am glad that a digital asset like XRP is starting to get some exposure in an environment like this, because so much of the oxygen in the room has been taken up by Bitcoin. And what hasn't been taken up by Bitcoin has been taken up by Ethereum. And don't get me wrong, I'm not tribal. I own Bitcoin in my portfolio. I own Ethereum in my portfolio, or in my portfolio. I don't think I said that correctly. So, when I look at and think about these things, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, we've got headwinds and we've got tailwinds in this market. Obviously, it's well known Bitcoin and Ethereum do not have the same headwinds as every other digital asset in the United States. Okay, the United States is a big player in the world's capital market structure, but it's not the only player. However, because the US dollar is so predominant in global trade and so dominant in the form of credit markets outside the United States, dealing with the US dollar is very important. Now, here's the thing. Here's the good news. Even if the United States does not come around, the XRP ledger and its partners and what's happening is perfectly capable of running US dollars through European organizations. So that's really good news. For a long time, you guys have heard me. I could not, for the life of me, understand why MoneyGram International, a publicly traded US company, was able to facilitate on-demand liquidity transactions from the US dollar to Mexican peso. Well, I got my answer. Bitstamp is not a US company, it's in Europe. Running US dollars through a European exchange in the form of US dollars into Mexico, there is absolutely no problem. Maybe this is why we didn't see Coinbase jump on board. Maybe this is why Binance US hasn't jumped on board. But I'm really glad that I finally got that answered for me. But I think it's really important to understand that even if the US continues to kick their heels, and we saw today the CoinDesk article, Maxine Waters wants and is pleading with President-elect Joe Biden, please rescind, roll back all the guidance that the OCC has given around cryptocurrencies. What her problem is, I just don't know. She's got a problem with Bitcoin. What can you say? But we've got some stuff coming, and I'm really excited about what the end of this year will entail. We've got Q1 and Q2 of next year to find out if the best laid plans of a lot of these institutions for their 2021 allocations are going to start to roll out. If it's true that entities like Grayscale are ramping up the quantity of the assets in their funds, that is a consistent demand pressure. We want that. We want supply to get constricted, right? Supply and demand drives the price up. That is what it's all about for us. So let me take a quick second and welcome For Sale. Welcome XRP Joe. Thanks for the shout out the other day, young man. Simon, good to see you. Glad to have you. CK Cellmate, glad to have you. And it appears that in the green room, a little bit early, and I'm glad she is Our Lady on the Street, Bitta Avenue. Now, for those of you that have been tuning into the show, you know we always bring Britta in at the end. She's got great questions for the guests, always very insightful things to think about, coming from a different space than I do, and it really adds a little flavor to the show. But since Ceej obviously couldn't make it, and I don't know why, maybe he'll tell me tomorrow, let's bring in Bitta. Bitta, so nice to see you. How are you today, young lady?
I'm good. Happy Friday, everybody.
Thank you, thank you. So what's shaking in your part of the world?
Oh, there's too many things going on in my part of the world that you don't want to know about.
Okay.
So craziness is happening in my part of the world. So today is Friday, so I don't want to dampen the mood right now. So let's keep it going with the crypto world news.
Well, I'll tell you, so have you, what are some of the crypto news that you have kind of like still have in your brain from this week? Like what stuck with you that may have some importance?
So I saw something about they wanted to, I don't know if it was Bitcoin that they were talking about. They were saying that it needs to be like a stable coin. There was a news, I didn't read the whole thing, but there was an article about them wanting to classify it as a stable coin. So I wasn't, fully sure what was going on. So maybe it's over the news that you were talking about with the them wanting to roll back everything. I don't know if it's also like my curiosity is always kicking in. The last bull run, when the market started taking off, there were a lot of bad news on like how much regulation is going to change and all that stuff. So I don't know if that's just what's happening to scare people off, or if it's really what is going on. So I'm just hello everybody, just curious about all that stuff that's going on.
I understand. RM, thank you so much for the super chat. Greatly appreciate it. Well, I'll tell you, I'm not really clear about what you said. I think there was some stuff alluding to stable coins themselves will be under some pressure as CBDC start to come to the market, because competing currencies, right, that are denominated in the same thing can create confusion. There is no government in the world that wants to have a private party currency competing directly with their currency in a digital framework.
Right. Okay.
All right. I mean, I'll just tell you that right now. The U.S. government does not want some U.S. dollar stablecoin competing on in a digital environment with their U.S. dollar coins.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, and I don't know if they're going to, and I'll tell you why. Have you dealt with stablecoins? Have you ever transacted in stablecoins? Okay.
No, I mean, I have held what is it? I guess it is like the U.S. dollar coin. Is that what it's called? The U.S. dollar coin?
Yeah, that's a stablecoin.
But when I first got it, is because I was holding on to it because I wasn't sure what I was going to buy. So I just left it in there because I saw that it had a 1.25 APR or something like that at the time. And right now it's at 0.15. So I said that's quite a dramatic change.
Okay. You're talking about it from an investment vehicle. Stablecoins are meant to be transactionary.
Oh, okay.
All right. So you either use them in commerce or they hold value at that pegged price for X amount of period, indefinite period of time. That's kind of their use case.
Okay.
Most stablecoins are built on Ethereum. Every time I've used a stablecoin, it cost me $5. I got to pay a $4.99 Ethereum network fee. Drives me crazy. Guess what, everybody? Look at this. Look at this handsome fella. Look who made it to the screen. Crypto Ceej. Hey, better late than never, brother. And it looked like I saw Rob bouncing in and out. But he's talking about he's having a technical issue. Okay. Ceej. Dude, I'm so glad to see you. No, there's no reason. I see Rob. Let's get Rob in here. Rob, if your camera would work, that'd be great. I got one bone to pick with you, Ceej. One bone. Caught your video that you posted 8 hours ago.
Great.
You always come from a great place of asking us to think as investors, consider this.
Sure.
Consider that. And I love it. I love it. The one bone I had to pick with you is when I caught that most recent Drive video talking about, people who have missed their quote unquote opportunities 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Being a reference point for the folks today. I would encourage anybody to use caution and walk through or play the tape all the way through when you're designing exit strategies.
Absolutely.
Because if you're selling a coin at 385 and that thing gets to a place where it never gets below $15 again, and you only had $5,000 to invest,
yeah,
you just blew massive long-term profits. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yes, it's important to take profits for certain people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Everybody is different. So
Right,
there's no
absolutely.
one size fits all deal. And that would be the only thing I'd ask that you add in there, because I've never heard that once.
Yeah, you're right.
People got to look at this, da, 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 da.
Right.
Other than that,
Yeah.
dude, what you do is wonderful. And I will tell you, I am practicing one simple discipline every day.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I'm great to hear that.
It's very cool. So,
Yeah.
folks, if you're watching the show and you don't know who Crypto Ceej is, he's got his own YouTube channel. The name's right there, Crypto Ceej. He puts out a lot of great stuff that is meant to provoke thought. Take a little nibble of what he gives you, go off and find this particular book he talked about, or research this concept that he's talking about. I really appreciate guys like you, guys like Rob. There's a Crypto Ice. There's so many Crypto Airy junk. I mean, there's a lot of great YouTubers that are putting out non-hype. They're either putting out great solid research, or they're talking about solid investment principles.
Right.
You know what I mean? You do a little bit of both. Well, you do a lot of principles and a little bit of the news and stuff. So what's shaking for you this week? What's been on your radar? What you're thinking about? What you're seeing? What you're feeling?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that the thing that the last couple of videos has kind of been the thing that's really been on my mind. Thank you for the kind words. I definitely appreciate that. It's really, and I would have loved to hear Digital Asset News, his perspective on those videos, if he had a chance to check them out. He is a really, really, really sharp dude. He really, really is. And I like that he cuts to the chase with a lot of his questions. So I would have loved to talk with him. But, you know, that was the thing that's been on my mind for like the last week and a half, maybe 2 weeks. I kept telling people on the channel that I've been going back and forth, you know, going over BC Backer's course, you know, time and time again, 3, 4, 5 times. Trying to piece it together, try to understand it from his perspective. Because like you, the thing that caught me and struck me is this dude said, you know, at $10 to $13, you know, one altcoin, I'm out, I'm done, I'm out of the market. And I'm like, what? Right? My first thing was like, why would he say that? Like, why would he say, I'm out? Now he clarified it in another section of that course. He said, well, what I mean by all out is 65%, right? 65% of my XRP, I'm out. And I'm still thinking, I'm trying to put it all together. How does that make sense, right? I actually spoke with someone from the channel. We talked on the phone, and he helped me a little bit. And he said a lot of what you said, right? Kind of depends what people are, right? It depends on where they are. So I'm thinking about it some more. And something just hit me a couple of nights ago that just made sense to me. And it just said, look, you have to look at how much money you've put into XRP. I think the biggest challenge that we have, right? And I call it price coma, right? Okay. So I had, I don't know, maybe I think 3 or 4 people say on that, when I did that live stream, that they were buying XRP, 20 cents, 25 cents, 30 cents, 10 cents, whatever. They're in the bull run. And they're just looking at XRP at $3. And they're looking at XRP at $3.25. And they're looking at it at $3.70. And they say, here's what I'm thinking that they say to themselves. $3? It's only $3. Litecoin's at this price. Ethereum is at this price. Surely, with all the things going on with XRP, surely it's going to go higher. Right? And then they wrote it up to $3.84 and rolled it all the way back down. And then they went into a 900 plus days of a bear market.
Right.
10 cents. I know for a fact that there are people in the XRP community that were buying XRP at 1 cent or less than 1 cent, and at $3 didn't do nada, nothing. Because for me, what I say that is price coma, right? And then all of a sudden, it's this real weird thing about the average investor is that they know the price of everything, but the value of no thing. And they didn't see the value in their money. Like they missed it.
Or, yeah, but also there are today, that wasn't available 3 years ago. For instance, coming from exactly your point, I'm going to bring Rob here on in just a second. He's back in the studio.
Good.
Case in point, today we have vehicles. You are an ambassador of Celsius.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
I'm putting together a spreadsheet where you can work out all the numbers of all three phases of things I'm going to talk about. You put your assets on, earn an interest in the underlying asset, take a loan against. You're going to pay interest on that.
Absolutely.
Pay it in the form of US dollars, right? Yep. You work out the math. How much collateral do I have on there? How much of my collateral cannot own that? So now I take a loan. I do something with that loan. Maybe that loan's the price of the amount of money I put into the market. I bought $5,000 worth of XRP. Now it's at such a value that I can collateralize that. Take a loan for $5,000. Right. Take a loan for $5,000.
Absolutely.
And the collateral pays me more than enough interest to pay off the loan and make monthly, weekly, whatever payments to the principal.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And now I have not sold one single asset. So if it does go into a bear market, I've got a program that's paying off the principal and paying it down, which is good.
Yep.
If it doesn't, if it's a bear market, bull market, bear market, bull market, over time, if it does appreciate, I'm going to retain all that capacity. If you sell your coins, you do not retain capacity. So that was my only statement. You're going to get a copy of this spreadsheet, and we're going to work through a couple of it offline.
Oh, I'd love to.
I think it's something that'll add value to you and all of your Celsians, because I know there's many of you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's the thing too. Unfortunately,
let me bring Rob in real fast. I just want to say, Rob, bring him in.
Yeah,
and allow him. Hey, Brady, get the stuff off the screen. Brady, stop. And allow him to say hi, and you guys can have a conversation.
Hey, brother, how are you?
Oh, it's so glitchy. Hold on.
Yep.
Let's see here. Okay. First of all, can everybody hear me?
Yeah. You're gonna have to
okay. Can you hear me?
Probably take out all your time.
I missed the whole show. What's happening?
I'm sorry, I've been glitching. I've missed everything. I think you guys are talking about digital assets. All right, I'll tell you what.
Is that what you guys are talking about? Digital assets?
Oh, he's back.
Yeah, get rid of some tabs, bro. That might help.
Okay, hold on. No, I'm on my phone.
So, Ceej.
Yes.
Rob will chime in when he can. He's here.
Yes, love it. Absolutely. Great, man. It's definitely great to meet you, Rob. I've been wanting to talk with you, have a conversation with you for a long while. And unfortunately, when I did the drive time video this morning, I kind of couldn't clarify as much as I did when I did the live stream, but you're right. Now Celsius did get started in 2017, right? But a lot of people weren't aware of it, right? It's a new company. They didn't know the platform was available. And this was the thing, again, what's going on for sale? One of the things that got me thinking is because, I have big time respect for BC Back. I think he has a level head. I think he has a really good sense for technical analysis for TA. I really, really do. But when he said cash out and I'm out of the digital asset space, that wasn't making sense to me, right? I'm an ambassador for Celsius. I know about collateralized loans. I talk about on my channel all the time, don't liquidate your assets, leverage your assets. We talk about that all the time on Generational Wealth Wednesdays. So it wasn't making sense. So when I did the live stream, I was saying, I would go into USDC. Me and Mr. Crypto Ceej, what we're going to do is have to make a decision on whether we're going to leave it in stable coins and do the interest, or if we're going to live our life and do a collateralized loan and just go take some money and go do something, right? But also in that scenario on the live stream, I pointed out in my scenario, you could buy back the XRP, right? You can buy it back. So if you had 15,000,
but can you? That's the question: is can you?
Sure. Just look at. Well, here's the thing.
Hang on. You don't hear me out. Yeah. When I say can you, if you're selling your XRP at, let's say, $3.50, you're putting it into USDC coin.
Yes.
You're getting 10% on Celsius. 6 months goes by. Now, all of a sudden, XRP can't seem to get below $10. Just can't get it below $10, Ceej. Can't get it down, goddammit. When is it going to get back down to $3.50 so I can buy back in?
Right.
That's the point. See, here's the thing. You can only measure the crypto space from one set of historical metrics, and that is network effects. So things that have network effects. All right. What things in our lifetimes have been innovations that have really been built on the network effect? Well, we've got PCs, right? How they displaced paper and pen.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And we have mobile technology, whether that be analog telephones moving into cellular telephones. Then we have the internet. Those are the three major innovations where the network effect is what really drove all the value. So this is my question to you. If you sold your Apple at $10, sure, you can buy back into Apple, but guess what you're buying back into Apple at today? $2,100.
Right.
Sure. You could have bought and sold your Microsoft at $3, $4, $5, which were highs 2 years into their life cycle, 4 years into their life cycle. You going to buy it that way today? Do we even need to start mentioning Amazon?
Right.
Okay, that's my point. My point is we are so early in a network effect driven asset space that none of us realistically can truly extrapolate where this is going to go. You know what I mean? And when we're talking about a utility driven asset like XRP, not a store of value asset like Bitcoin, payments are pervasive. Transfer of value is pervasive in everything. Right?
Yeah.
There's no telling how much market saturation is going to happen in an addressable market this size.
Right.
To sell in the next 12 months, and I don't care what the price is very short-sighted when you put it into contrast with those previous three monster innovations that were built on network effects, and look at them now.
Yeah. And here's the thing, right?
That's my only point. That's my.
No, I totally get it. I totally get it.
Beating that point into the ground. I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to turn the show over to my guest, Crypto Ceej, an incredible contributor, Rob from Digital Asset News, and of course, our lady on the street, Bit Avenue. Take it away, guys.
Yeah. So, Rob, it's great to meet you, brother. Can you hear us okay?
Yes. Now, hopefully this works a little better. I was trying to use my phone the last time. Phones are awesome until they're not. So I'm going to try my computer and see what happens.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Hello.
Yeah.
How's everybody?
Rob, good to have you, man.
Yeah, it's great to have you, man. Great interview the other day you did, I don't know, maybe 2-3 weeks ago, that you did with Alex Mashinsky from Celsius. That was a really, really great interview, man. Oh,
we want to hear a story about that?
What's that?
So the story is this. So we did an interview a couple of months ago, and just like, just a little bit like, get to know you type of thing. And then all these things happen with, the whole shutdown, the DNS propagation, those type of things.
Yes.
And it was an issue, right? Yep. So I would say some things on Twitter. I'd be like, hey, I don't know what's going on, but this is not a great piece, especially if a $1 billion company is using GoDaddy. I use GoDaddy. I'm not a multi-billionaire yet. So
Yeah.
anyhow,
Yeah.
so I put some pieces out, and then I'm talking to Alex Mascioli on a show, and I'm looking at my phone. I'm like, crap. And I looked down. It was an email from his assistant, and she's like, Alex would like to be on your show to discuss things that are going on. And I flipped it over. I go, Alex, I think I'm being summoned. Mascioli, I think I'm being summoned to put out a fire. And he's like, you got to take that interview. So we did the interview. He explained everything, and I liked it. I really like Alex. I like his honesty. I like where he's coming from. I like the fact that for those who don't know, Alex Mashinsky, he created voice over internet protocol. Now he's doing money over internet protocol. And he's trying to really, have everybody unbank themselves. And when you get somebody like that, you're kind of leery because you're like, I don't know if this is really the real deal because it sounds too good to be true. And who is this magnanimous? Who is this, to give themselves so much? So you kind of like, I don't know. But on the interview, he did answer everything, and it was a long style format. So yeah,
absolutely, yeah, it was great. It was really, really good. Now, Jerry, I want to make sure you understand something. You said the next 12 months, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what's going on in the next 12 months? A bear market or a bull market?
I don't know. Now I assign. See, I'm not one of these. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen because I read this tweet or I saw this post on blah, 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 blah. This is what I do know. I know that this market is attracting attention from an institutional grade of participants like we have never seen before. It's public knowledge. Yep. It's not lie. It's not hype. When public companies like MicroStrategies and Square are allocating millions upon millions to their balance sheet, when it's already confirmed that endowments like Yale and Harvard have allocated, it's only a matter of time before the actuaries from California State Employees Pension, the federal employees pension.
Oh yeah, they're all coming.
Brady. Get that stuff off the screen. We don't need it. In other words, there is a wall of money coming. And the wall of money, if you understand how those things work, they're not like you and I. They don't make a decision and the next day they've opened their Coinbase account and they're buying. That isn't at all how it works.
Right.
They plan, they assess risk. Brady, please stop. Thank you. They plan, they allocate, and they're never in the same time frame. Like for instance, it's this time of the year that they're planning for their allocations of quarter one, quarter two, and probabilistic quarter three, quarter four of next year allocations. They're doing that right now. All right, so we got that. We got companies like PayPal and Grayscale buying up the mined Bitcoin that's happening now. These are all going to force supply and demand shocks in an ever increasing network effect. So Metcalfe's law coming into play. So I'm assigning probabilities. Next year, I believe we're going to see a continual, gradual, and sometimes violent jump up and violent jump down action in the market. But from where we start in quarter one to where we finish at the end of quarter four of next year will be much higher, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Based on that information. So if we see some kind of monster explosion, and XRP goes to $5 and that a bunch of people have hit their numbers and they're selling out, cool. Everybody's allowed to do their own thing. I'm just saying, if you've done your planning, don't be afraid to look at other concepts because you may find something that's more advantageous to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's my deal.
Yeah, absolutely. Jared, Rob, did you catch the video I did, the live stream I did the other day?
Which one? What were you doing?
I think I titled it.
Was it the $50? I'm not going to sell $50.
Yeah, and I said, but why though?
Yeah, I glanced at it at that piece for a second, and then I was going to watch it. I was driving from Houston to El Paso, and of course I got spotty reception the whole way, so I didn't really listen to anything. But I mean the title is great, right? The title is great. $50. Ceej, it's $50.
Yeah, it's $50.
Oh, I know. Talk about clickbait.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Right. It's so funny too, because I have been seeing this a lot, especially on my channel. This statement of I'm not doing anything with my XRP until it hits $50. I'm not doing anything with my XRP until it hits $100. Right. Mm-hmm. I'm 4-figure XRP or bust. Right. All these kind of things. And again, with me going back and forth through a BC Backers course, I'm thinking to myself, why? Why are people saying that? Something is missing. Something's missing. So I just put out a scenario, Rob, for people to think about. And what I said is, number one, you have to know your numbers, right? So you have to know how much money you've invested into XRP, right?
Right.
You have to know how much XRP you hold, right? This is important. And I think a lot of people, number one, they don't know how much money they put in XRP. I can promise you that. They don't know. They've been accumulating, but they haven't been diligent in tracking how much money they put into XRP, right? Mm-hmm. I truly believe that. And the other thing I kept thinking about is I kept hearing, here's the thing was I wasn't hearing a lot of people say how blessed they were, how fortunate they were to have done something with XRP at $3.77. I've only heard one person thus far say it. Most of the people have said, I wrote it up and I wrote it all the way back down. Mm-hmm. Now, that doesn't mean that's the actual numbers. I'm just saying from Twitter, from YouTube, from Telegrams, from Discords,
right?
Most of the people have said they wrote it up, and most of the people have been in the space since 2017. Not all, but most. Mm-hmm. So they wrote it up and they wrote it down, and they didn't benefit from buying XRP at 1 cent and 10 cents and 15 cents and 20 cents and accumulating XRP, and they didn't benefit at $3 or $3.50 or $3.75, and then they wrote it all the way down. And we all know percentage-wise, if your average cost of entry is at 10 cents or 15 cents or 20 cents, that's not a bad return on your investment at $3.
Oh, no. Yeah. But that's just it. It's great if you can do it. If you can say, okay, I'm going to sell at these price points. And it's not just about saying I'm going to do it. It's actually about doing it. Because how many times, and this is for everybody out there, how many times have you said, I'm going to sell at this?
Yep. Then
you see it almost get there and you're like, you know what? I'm going to sell. And then it gets there and you're like, you know what? I think I can go a little bit higher. I'm going to wait till 10% more and then 20%.
Absolutely.
And before you know it, your emotions have taken over and you're like, shoot, where'd all my profits go? I'll tell you where they all went. They all went bye-bye, just like it always happens, right? And this is exactly what happened to me and a lot of other people. That's why, like, people on my channel, they'll say, Rob, you have this exit strategy, and I think you're very stupid for selling it at any point. Oh, believe me. I mean, you guys know. I mean, in the comment section, it's no holds barred, right? Yeah. I'm the biggest idiot out. I'm either. It's funny. It's either you're a genius or an idiot. There's really no in between, and most of it's I'm pretty dumb. So they say, you got to just let it go all the way to the top, and then that's where you're going to sell. And I'm like, people talk about this bull market's different. It's going to be different. It's going to keep going up, and we're going to see these super highs. We will, but I'll tell you, it's not going to go like this. It's going to go like this and this and this and this. It's going to be 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Sometimes 3 steps forward, but then 10 steps back. Mm-hmm. And if you don't do a little bit of selling on that step ladder, I think you're missing out a little bit, because it's that tightness in your chest when you see everything go and go and go, and then it starts to go down and down and down. It paralyzes you, I feel. So
absolutely. Absolutely right. You're right. And before you hopped on, Rob, I called that, I have this intention to want to sell at $3, but maybe it gets to 5% higher. I called that price coma, right? People have price coma. And I just think, and I was the same way. I had no idea at all. I mean, I did sell XRP at $2, but I had no idea where XRP was. I have no idea about trading. I didn't know anything about 30, 40, 50, 70% corrections and pullbacks in this market. I had nothing. All I knew was buy low, sell high. I didn't know any history, any charting. And that's the vast majority of us, right? I think the vast majority of us really don't know how to take advantage of this market. Don't know. We're not professional traders. So I don't think that we know. But I think today, and I said this in the live stream, I think we are so much more prepared today than we were during the last bull run. I really, really feel like we're so much better prepared that we can take advantage of it. And I encourage people. I'm sorry?
I can tell you I am. See, we're all on a learning curve here.
Absolutely.
Let me interject something. I want to share this with you guys. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this or you know this, but I have a very, very bright friend of mine. His name is Santiago Velez. I had him on my show, had him on the live stream. Now he's a contributor on Real Vision. He's a very bright guy, guy.
Yep.
And he calls me one afternoon and he says, I want to walk you through this hypothesis I'm working on, this thesis. I said, okay. And it takes a historical look back. Now, keep in mind, he's put on the lens. He's looking through the lenses of network effects.
I'll be right back in a second. Hold on.
All right, network effects. So that set of lenses on, he's looking at historically Bitcoin, its first 7 years of existence. It took 7 years for Bitcoin to reach a market cap of $7.2 billion. Take a stab at what XRP's market cap was at 7 years of existence.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you because I watched the interview and he said the same thing on Raul Paul show. I think he said it was 12. I think he said it was 12 billion.
He was working that out with me. And the point was, you're right, it was 12. I just said 7.2 billion. You're right, it's 12 billion. After 7 years, 12 billion, both currencies. When you start to understand the value of time and network effects, it's fair to say, with that science in mind, we're not in the market that we were 3 years ago.
Yep, absolutely.
The adoption curve is different. The number of on-ramps is different. The level of participant, the new entries are different. More educated investors are coming into the space who are not at all tribal. You know what I mean? Their favorite coin is the one that is going to make them money.
Yep, that's right.
Doesn't matter if it's BTC, XRP, or whatever coin.
Yep, absolutely.
And a lot of them are using traditional methods in which to decide allocations, which mean only the top market cap coins are going to get that. They're not going to go into a liquid coins because the liquid coins you can't get out of.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So anyway,
I do.
To inject that because I hadn't yet.
Yeah.
And I was also stalling for Rob to get back. Let me ask Rob and Ceej if you'd be willing to have Bitta ask you two, because you're both really bright and have been educating yourself along this journey as investors. Bitta, do you have any investment questions that you prepared for tonight's show?
Absolutely. Dan, well, Rob, I always call you Dan because of your abbreviation for your channel.
Bitta, everybody calls me Dan. That's okay. and so that's fine. They go, Dan, what? Sure, whatever.
It's hard to adjust at this point for me, I guess. But I'm a fan. I definitely watch your videos.
Thanks.
As much as I can, and I've seen you on Jerry's stream a few times. So it's nice to finally personally meet you, even though if it's on video.
Yes.
So what has changed for you from the last bull run, as far as like your cash out plan? Like, have you changed any of your plans right now?
It's a great question. And you know what? It was a question I got today. I had this exact same question today because they said, Rob, are you going to continue on with dollar cost averaging all the way up? Because let's just assume that Bitcoin goes to a conservative number of $100,000. Pretty conservative, right? So if that number is true and holds true, and maybe it goes to 200, 300, I have no idea. So they say, well, are you going to keep going and keep, dollar cost averaging in past 100,000, 200,000, 300,000? However much, I put in. I purchase crypto every single day, and I have a plethora of different ones. So let's just say Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. So if we take a look at the history, right, we can always take a look at what's going on before, because we don't know where we're going unless we know where we've been. So in 2017, what happened? 2017, we had a price around $1,000 for Bitcoin. Went all the way up to almost 20,000, and then it came back down, as we all remember. Weren't those great days, right? To like $4,000 or $5,000. We're like, well, that sucks, but it'll go back up tomorrow because John McAfee told me it would, and he wouldn't lie to me, right? So that whole thing went down. I think it's going to be the same type of thing moving forward. So we're going to see exponential growth in 2021. So let's just say that it starts to go to, we hit 20,000 by the end of the year, then 25, 30, 35. Then we start to go into the 50s and 60s. Once we hit in the 25, 30 range, I think it's going to go a little bit crazy. It's going to be FOMO just like in 2017. We keep going up, but past a certain point, I think Bitcoin will skyrocket up, but what goes up must come down. And I know that people talk about, no, but this one's different. And the institutional investors are here, and there's big money here. And I got to tell you, the more things change, the more they stay the same. The fundamentals don't change. So I believe it's going to go up, and it's going to go back down to around 35, somewhere around that number. I don't know where it's going to be, but I know I have an exit plan, and that exit plan starts at around 19,900, where I'm going to sell a percentage. Then it hits 30, then 50, then 75, then 100. And then past that, I'm not going to dollar cost average in after around 35,000. I feel like it's just going to keep going up, and I'm just going to wait for it at that point just to come back down, and then I'll do everything. That is my plan for Bitcoin. Now, the rest of them, like BitConnect and no, I'm just kidding. Just like Ethereum and Chainlink and Cardano and Tezos and Theta and all the different ones. I haven't really. I don't have a perfect plan in place. It's in my mind, but I haven't put it on paper, and I need to do that on top of all the other stuff that I need to do. Which one of those is finally launching that Cardano staking pool, which I'll get to hopefully by Monday.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. And this is a question for both of you. What advice would you give a new investors coming in to the space, as far as like what lessons have you learned that you would give an advice to a new investor? That's
Ceej. Ceej knows that.
Yeah, for me, I just think that it's I think we're blessed to have 3 or 4 years, right? I got in the space in 2016. I think we're blessed to have that kind of experience behind us. But I would say to someone new in this space, you really have to know what you hold, right? People coming into this space, and I'm just really realizing there's a reason. You ever think why the big players only mess around with the big market cap coins? You ever think why is it that they're only messing around with BTC and ETH and XRP, right? I was listening to a trader today, hugely successful in the FS market. He called XRP he called it like it was like a big player coin. He dared not to call XRP an altcoin. He dared not. An altcoin, XRP an altcoin. No. That's the other coins to him. To this trader, professional trader with a decade or so of experience, successful experience, he called XRP. He wouldn't dare call it an altcoin. And I'm thinking to myself, why are these big players thinking like that? What's the reasoning behind it? Now, the vast majority of the speculative and retail investors, they're looking at, well, BTC doesn't move the same way as the altcoins. The altcoins have this significantly better return on your money, right? But why the big players playing with the big coins, right? So I would tell a new investor to think about that. And why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? But also understand that these altcoins, that they do have a percentage gain that's significantly higher than others in a bull market. And I would tell them, go on each individual site on livecoinwatch.com or coinmarket.com, hit that link and learn about those assets. If they don't have a team behind them, be a little wary, right? If the team's not willing to show their face, be a little wary. But click on the link, go to the website and learn about each asset and see if it makes sense to you what they're doing, right? Does it make sense to you? Like for me, I actually invested in XRP way back when because a hugely successful trader said, you should get some XRP. But I just went and I got XRP. I didn't look into it until months later. I mean, 6-9 months later, I just got it. And then after I started looking into it, the message just was like, oh, okay. It made perfectly good sense to me what they were doing. That's why I'm such a big fan of Celsius, because the message just makes sense to me. So I would tell someone, go to the link, hit on the website, read what they got going on. What's their use case? Does that make sense to you from a regular person? Does it make sense that someone's trying to do this in the marketplace?
I guess like piggybacking from the whole FX market and also, you know, the XRP, the person that also told me about XRP originally is somebody that was teaching me how to trade the Forex market. Mm-hmm. So, and I've heard a little bit about the derivative market and how XRP is and the company itself is branching out. Do you have any thought on that? Do you think there is, I mean, the derivative market is huge, right? So do you have a thought on that?
You want to go, Rob? Because I do, but.
No, go ahead. Take it.
I just think for me, I think Ripple is in another league unto itself. I really, really do. I think the genius in their products, whether it be the ODL, RippleNet, Codius, the XRPL Ledger, whatever it is, I think it's on another level. And I think that a lot of people, I was listening to a show, Rethinking the Dollar. He had two other guys on the show with him. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that show. It's a gold bug show for the most part. But he had two crypto guys on there. And they were, you know, the show was an hour and about 10 minutes. For the whole hour, you know, they're talking cryptos and cryptos and cryptos. And in the last 5 minutes or so, the host says, what do you guys think about Ripple and XRP? And the show went negative after that. I mean, they just started, well, we need a whole nother show and a whole nother hour for that. That's not a real blockchain. I mean, they don't, and I'm thinking to myself, how is that possible for people? These guys been in the space for one of them has been in the space since 2013. How is it that they don't know what Ripple and XRP is and what it's really doing? It was baffling to me. And it kind of led me to think that they just hearing stuff from other people without taking the time, like I did the first 9 months, to really look into it and see what it really, really is. They're just taking someone else's opinion. So when I think derivatives, I think Ripple and XRP and the Ledger is perfectly positioned to handle the FX market, the derivatives market, the trade finance market, the smart contract market. It's designed to handle all of that. And whether they will or not is still left to be said. But I would not sleep on what SBI Ripple Asia is doing. I would pay huge attention to that, because I don't think there's a digital asset with the likes of Brad Garlinghouse, David Schwartz, Chris Lawson behind the project. I don't think there's like Cardano has Charles Hoskinson, right? But that's just one person, right? EOS has Dan Larimer, but that's just one person. I don't think there's an asset out there that we got Mr. Yoshitaka Kitao, we got Chris Larson, we got Brad Garlinghouse, we got David Schwartz. I think all of that put together, I don't think there's another asset that has such a team behind it. Even Raoul Paul mentioned it today. He called it marketing, right? He said Bitcoin doesn't have any marketing behind it. I just think they're so well positioned to really dominate in any space that they choose to go into. And if you just look at the technology, I think if you had a conversation with Vitalik, he would tell you how phenomenal the technology is, butyrate. I think if Charles or Dan Larimer were willing to be honest, they would give some check marks, some kudos to Codius, to the XRPL and how it's designed, and the genius and the technology. And I think a lot of people don't understand it. Listen, Stefan Thomas and David Schwartz and Arthur Brittle, they were around way back when. I think a lot of people miss that. I mean, Stefan Thomas actually worked on parts of Bitcoin.
Okay.
Right? But a lot of people don't know that, right? A lot of people they don't know. They don't know. And so I think that, what they're doing, look, he tells all of us, right? Brad Garlinshouse made a decision. He could have went down the smart contract space. He could have went in that direction, chose not to. I think he's hesitant to admit that probably was the better move, the easier move, the smoother move, the move that would gain more adoption quicker.
Okay.
Right? But he chose the cross-border payments. Now he's fighting with those top 5-8 banks. They don't want to change what they got going on right now. They don't want to change that because they make money off the friction. So, but overall, I think that whatever space that they choose to get into, I think they're going to be a significant player in it. And I think that we really have to pay attention to what Mr. Yoshitaka Kitao is doing over in Japan with SBI Ripple Asia, what they're doing with FX Coin right now, and testing that with Sumitomo Bank. I think that's significant. That swap markets thing that they're working on, literally using XRP, I think is going to be significant. I think, once they prove themselves out, I think it's going to open the doors for so many other things that they'll be able to do, other verticals that they'll be able to do.
Ceej, hold on.
Go ahead,
real
Rob.
quick. Ceej, are you talking about the SBI getting into the whole game and using XRP in their market? Is that what it is?
Yeah. I heard Adam Trademan, who's the CEO of SBI Ripple Asia, say in an interview with Thinking Crypto, he says, you guys don't know how big of a fan Mr. Yoshitaka Kitao is of XRP. Like, you really don't understand how much of a fan he is. And I truly believe it because I've paid attention to the stuff that he's doing. But yeah, that's the market, right? So they invested in FX Coin, right? They got this arrangement going on now. FX Coin is this exchange, and they're buying XRP from SBI VC Trade. And FX Coin is using XRP, and they're dealing in this market with Sumitomo Bank. And it's a test thing. They're experimenting with these swap markets, right? For settlement and other things like that. Now it's a test. I don't know what's going to come from the test, but it's a test.
Yeah, we saw. Yeah, I covered this story. I think it was I want to say a month ago or so. And I was talking about this, and I said, if this doesn't work for XRP, nothing's going to work.
Nothing's going to work.
Because SBI, it is huge, right? It is a huge conglomerate. So if XRP is being used, and it's going to be used massively after this testing is done, it should get through the testing. Let's see what happens. If it doesn't work, it's not going to work, period. Right. I think the big thing that is holding XRP back is regulation. Brad talked about this in his interview with Pompliano. He said, look, he goes, there's two assets right now that have been given the green light. It's Bitcoin and Ethereum. We haven't gotten that green light. And when I go to talk to customers say, I like what you guys do in Ripple. I like the whole setup that you have. It is a technology company. We use you guys, but XRP we can't use. So I will just say, Brian Brooks just came out from the OCC today, and he was on Squawk Box on MSNBC. And he said, he goes, you guys are going to be, I'm sure everybody knows this here, but I'll just reiterate for the one person that doesn't. He said, you guys will be very happy with what's going to come down at the end of Trump's term. We're going to get a lot of things in play. We're trying not to kill it. Nobody's going to ban Bitcoin. And we're going to come out and talk about, he said something about cryptocurrency. We're going to define certain cryptocurrency projects. Now, hopefully, he's talking about XRP. I don't think he is, because there's still a court case going on, which I don't think they can supersede anything. But I'm not a lawyer. So we'll see. But to get back to the main question about derivatives.
Derivatives, yeah.
So yeah, XRP can do that. I think that's what it's designed for. That's why there's 100 billion that can be used. So it's really there for a global market. It's not there for a country. It is there for the world. The thing is that here's the problem though. It has to really be out there for the world because there's so much volume that they have to have all that. Now, there was a talk about burning 45 billion or something like that. I don't know if that's going to go through, but that would be the same thing as like what Stellar did. And, you know, they talked about how that was a bad idea and you're actually just burning up value. But again, we will see. So Bita, your question about derivatives, things like that, swaps and options and futures and things. Yeah, of course you can do it. And when I first started my channel, I talked almost exclusively about XRP. And actually I'm going to do a video at the end of the year called my worst prediction of all time, which is I called XRP to go to 589 by, I think, the end of 2020. I think it was 2020 or 2021. I can't remember. But I was like, based on this, it's going to do this and this and that. Of course, you know, hey, no one's perfect. Obviously, this video was a prime example of that. But when I look at what it could be, I just, honestly, I'm just disappointed that it's been taking this long. And that is the long and the short. Now, have I sold any? I haven't sold one. And why haven't I sold it? Because I'm stubborn. That's why. Some might call it stupidity, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
So, and then one last thing. Derivatives. What's the derivatives market? A couple trillion, 50 trillion. It's a quadrillion. I didn't know that number even existed. So there is a graphic that I always show. It's called all the world's money and markets in one visualization. And I've done this a couple of times. And I go through, you know, Amazon's net worth, and we go through gold and silver, all the money in the world, the banks, the reserves, and then when we get to the derivatives, it's a kind of funny looking picture because it just keeps going on forever. Because each little square represents $100 million, and the thing, it just keeps scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. It's $1 quadrillion that is in derivatives. So that's what something like XRP is built for. And if it doesn't take over, then I don't know what else it could be. Yeah.
Don't you?
Let me jump in here just for a second, guys, because here's the thing. So many people have tied have tied the go or no go of XRP to Ripple. And rightfully so. They've been the biggest proponent. They're the ones putting money into the system, helping to create the environment. This is what I'm going to tell you. At no time in our history as a digital asset space has this industry ever been about the actual use cases or utility that these innovations are designed for at scale, right? Bitcoin is not a peer-to-peer payment system. It is a store of value speculation. And it's great at that. Ethereum is going to create the ability to program money. Okay, wonderful. Who uses Ethereum in their life, whether to receive payroll, divvy out payroll, pay taxes, any life function as it pertains to money?
Nope.
No one. Okay, cool. But it's really cool. It's got all this great shit. XRP, what is it designed for? What does it serve? What is its best purpose? Payments. It's not hypothetical. It's happening. It happens to be happening in the most highly regulated space in the world, and that is institution to institution value transmission. But here's the thing. At the end of the day, even if Ripple were to die, if you transact in digital currencies, which I do all the time, whether it be a stable coin like Tether or USDC, whether it be Bitcoin or Ethereum, they're all slow. They're all expensive. XRP is neither of those things. The value of XRP as a store of value, I don't know. I don't care. But I will tell you that in markets, efficiency always wins the day. And if a company finds it more cost effective to use an asset like XRP to move this from this to that over Bitcoin, over Ethereum, over Tether, over USDC, or any of these other things, they will do it. Whether Ripple is involved or not. Now, it may take longer. Now we're talking about time horizon stuff. So I agree with you guys. It'd be nice to see these FX swap contracts settled in XRP, because currently in that market, it takes 3 days of settlement between entity and entity. You know what I mean?
Yep.
XRP could do it in an X amount of time. Add that to the ODL corridors that are growing. But keep in mind, it's the headwinds. It's this regulatory clarity, the big players who are going to be able to put the most capital into this ecosystem are on the sidelines until the risk is gone. All right, cool. I'm willing to wait it out. I don't need to be rich tomorrow. Be nice. So I just want to, I keep going back to this theme, and I'll just leave it on this. I'll turn it back over to Bitta. We're so early in this space. Keep in mind this one paradigm, and it's the paper folding paradigm. Fold a piece of paper 50 times. How high is it? Ask people who do not know the answer, and every single one of them will tell you shorter than it actually is. Folding a paper in half 50 times goes to the sun. It's crazy. Or it might be this, might not be the sun, it might be the moon. No, it's the sun. It's hard for us to extrapolate where that's really going to go in 5-10 years from now. You know what I mean? So when people are making their exit strategies, I'm going to sell at $5. Okay, go ahead and sell at $5. You made some great profit. I'm not here to make some great profit. I'm here to create some generational wealth. And if I can leverage some assets to give me some little bonuses, take a couple thousand a month on the ride there, I'm totally cool with that. Bitta, back to you, young lady. Let's do another round of Bitta questions, and then we'll do Brady's last thoughts, and we'll close it down because I know I'm keeping you guys here for a while. We got a late start with Ceej coming in late. Tardy.
Okay, that's what I'm a little worried about, because we're already 20 minutes over, so I wasn't sure if I should ask another question.
Please do.
A quick one, I guess. What's your, outside of your normal altcoins, what are your other favorite coins that or cryptos that you like investing in outside of like the main cap ones? Or do you guys ever invest in any like low cap coins?
I don't. So I was talking to I had Brock Pierce on, and Brock Pierce, if you don't know, he had run for president, and he's been part of. He's an interesting guy. He's been a part of EOS, started Tether, and all these different things, and he's like, now what I'm doing is I'm getting into VC, venture capitalism. And I said, well, what kind of products are you getting into? And he told me all about it. And it's some interesting things. And I said to him, I go, I think you're into venture capitalism because of all the different products that you started on before and you built into that. And he goes, yeah. He goes, it's kind of like investing into low cap gems or low cap market caps. And I go, you know what? That's very true. So for me, like I have my base positions. The biggest positions I have are Bitcoin and Ethereum by far, right? It takes up over 50% of my portfolio just because I'm a careful person. I don't like to really go too far. But then after that, you can start to look outside of that 20, 30, 50 down the road. I think one that I got into, I want to say VeChain, I got into a long time ago. And I had held that, and then I sold it off, and then I had a bunch left, and I restocked into it because I think it's going to be a big thing. Also, I got into Voyager, the token, because I felt like, well, I use Voyager, I use the app. Also, they've done an acquisition over for a exchange over in the EU, so they're going to be branching out to the European Union. On top of, they're going to have that their Voyager token kind of work like the Binance coin. So I saw how much Binance did, so I'm like, I'm going to invest in this. And that was kind of like my thinking. But to go outside of like into the 200, 300, 400 range market cap, you can, a lot of money to be made. But just like a venture capitalist, you have to invest into 10, and 9 are going to fail. And hopefully that 10th one does it, and you got to make sure that you bet big. because it's going to have to wipe out all the different losses you did for the other 9. So that's how I feel about low cap gems. You can do it. It's just that a more conservative approach. That's all.
Yeah, I agree. I don't have my portfolio kind of set up like that. I have mine is different. But I still do believe that, I think it's important, right? So I have a little bit of BTC, I have a little bit of ETH. Vast majority of my investment is in XRP and in VeChain, right? And then, it's just the RSR, there's Algo, there's Elron, right? There's Player. That's really, really one out there for the ages for a long time from now, right? So, but I do think in a bull run, that there are coins that you can get a 2x and a 3x and a 4x, right? And maybe even a 5x, right, on your money. And I think the biggest challenge that a lot of us have in this market is we've been spoiled by 30x's and 40x's and 50x's. So sometimes we walk away from the 2x and the 3x and the 4x. Big money, right? Like institutional money, they do the exact opposite. They're excited. Like an 8x to them is like, holy wow. Like it's like, holy wow. But unfortunately, a lot of the retail investors, again, that price coma thing is kind of going on. And they're looking for, 10x's and these 20x's and these 30x's and these 40x's, and they're walking away from the simple 2 and 3x's that you can use to put into other stuff like your big cap coins like Ethereum, XRP, and Bitcoin, right? So you can get your 2x's and your 3x's from an RSR, for example, right? You can get your 2x's from Matic, right? And you can take those and you can put it into other stuff. And I think this is the learning curve, Jerry, that a lot of people in this space have to go through. Is don't in this. I believe this wholeheartedly. In this market, there's a price, there's a reality of a price, there's a dream price. And then that's what I call the correction, right? Because Bitcoin, again, was at one price, and then the next thing you know, it was all the way back down to 3,000. And from what I've seen in this market since 2016, there's a reality of XRP having hit $3.77. And there's the dream of a $5 XRP. And there's the dream of a $10 XRP. And there's a dream of a $20 XRP, but it hasn't happened. And then there's a correction, right? And so in that reality of $3 and change for XRP, there was big time money to be made. And I believe, in this next run, the new reality for XRP is going to be somewhere between $10 and $13, $9 and $13. I think that's going to be the new reality. And my question to all of you and all the people that are here is, are you prepared for that reality? Are you prepared? Are you prepared? Once that becomes a reality, if it does, I believe it will. I really do, $9 and $13. Are you prepared, or are you going to look at what's going on with Bitcoin and its price, and what's going on with Litecoin and its price, and what's going on with Ethereum and its price, and saying, well, surely XRP has more use cases, has more value, has more of this, has more of that, and it does. Surely it's going to go above that. And who's to say that a correction doesn't happen, right? And so when I say I think we're better prepared, I feel as though I got a good sense for when BTC gets to around 70 to 80,000, that we start kind of looking like, for this bull run, yeah, that's kind of it for this bull run. It doesn't mean that we're going to have a bear market after that and it's not going to be another bull run. I don't think that Bitcoin gets to 250,000 in this bull run. I think it gets to 250,000. I believe that's going to happen, but I don't know about in this bull run. And so when I think of these other altcoins and different things that you have in your portfolio, I would say take caution in looking for these 10Xs and these 20Xs and these 30Xs, and pay attention to just doubling your money. Just that's not a bad thing, right? Just doubling your money, because look, the vast majority of these projects are not going to be around. Well, I think most of us can agree the vast majority of them are not going to be around, but they're going to have a run. And in that 1-3 year run, surely you can 2x or 3x that. And then you could take it that 2 or 3x and you can put it somewhere where you feel reasonably sure, like a Bitcoin and Ethereum and an XRP, that's going to have a longer run. It's going to have a longer run, right? And so, that's kind of how I look at the altcoins, right? I look at them as, a chance to double my money or triple my money. And I'm taking that and I'm putting in stuff that I feel has a longer shelf life. It's going to be around a little bit longer.
Interesting.
Do you ever? Yeah.
Can I contribute on the altcoin thing real quick? So
Absolutely.
Here's the perspective. So I put $80,000 into the crypto space, okay? But it's weighted XRP by far the largest weighting. I mean, by head and shoulders. And then it goes Cardano, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and VET. And then Casino Coin. But for reference, the amount of money that I used to acquire 1 million casino coins was $150. You understand what I'm saying? So what? Yeah. I look at this, and it doesn't matter if it's Bitcoin, and it doesn't matter if it's Casino Coin or the 5,000th coin on the list. This is a thing to consider. If you've done what Rob and Crypto Ceej suggest to do, and that is to do some research on the project, you go to the reporting site, the CoinMarketCap, CoinGecko, what have you. You look at the white paper, you look at the team, you look at the use case, and you think to yourself, this might really be something, right? Risk analysis says, okay, I'm going to allocate X. Well, let's say you allocate $100, $200, $300. If that went to absolute zero, are you completely okay with that? Right?
Yes.
Well, if your downside risk of a $200 investment is zero, then your total exposed risk is only $200.
Right.
What is $200 relative to your income, your expenses, and your, like what we would say, Rob's kind of conservative investment strategy, right? So if the downside risk is zero and the upside risk is 30, 40, 50, the upside reward is 30, 40, $50,000. If you just let it ride, if it becomes what you think it could become, that risk to return ratio is so skewed that if you believe it has legs, it's irresponsible not to place a bet like that. $200 downside, $50,000 upside. Who would not take those odds? This is a once in a lifetime opportunity, right? You're not going to see new markets like this open up 3 years from now. Because this market is sucking all of the air, all of the capital, all of the intellectual capital, right? The finest and brightest in every industry is migrating into this space in one way, shape, or other. So build a portfolio. If you are old and your time horizon isn't 30, 40 years more to have an income and have investments, it's probably safe to stay with the top assets that have already established a place in this market, that have a liquidity and a market cap and are actually being used for whatever they're being used for in some way, shape, or form. But if you're younger and you want to go down on the risk curve, there's some great stuff, and some millionaires will be made on a couple of $100 investment. Now, again, that's about time horizon. Casino Coin might not be anything for the next 5, 6, 7, 8 years. I don't think I need it to if what's going to happen in Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP and Cardano happen, right? I can wait 5, 10, 15 years, give it to my kids for all I know. Does that help, Britta? You just got 3 very different guys talking about the same thing, coming from a very standardized process, and that is we use information, both analytical instinctual, right, anecdotal stuff, stories we've heard from other people, as well as the science of math and looking at previous markets to develop a strategy. That's the thing we all have in common, even though the assets in our portfolio are different, the weighting is different, but the construction came from study, sound practice, and risk management. Every one of these guys you see here, these 3 investors on the screen, every one of them understand there's a risk to the money that they put into the market. And if it all went away tomorrow, they'd be okay. And they also have a plan for when it hits the upside, so that when the capital comes in, they're going to use it in a way that they have already pre-planned for. I can tell you right now, Rob is not going to fall victim to sudden wealth syndrome. Why? Because he studies it. Because he knows when he's looking at his bank account, when he's looking at his asset portfolio on his phone and he sees it's worth $5 million, he's not going to cash out and go buy a yacht. He's going to wait and let his emotions.
You know what?
What?
Yeah, I'll tell you this, Jerry. Really, the big question is for everybody here. Hold on. The question for everybody here is that, let's call a spade a spade. Everybody here is going to be close to a millionaire. Let's just be honest. You probably will if you don't do something stupid like sell.
Yep.
Okay. So let's just assume that you're all going to be millionaires right now. Do you know what you're going to do with all that money? So the most obvious answer is I'm going to pay some bills. I'm going to do some saving, that type of thing. But what happens after that? What happens after all that money is you have it? What are you doing? What are you going to do with it? What kind of goals do you have? Where do you want to put it in for the future? What about, what's going to happen in month 6, year 2, year 5? Because you can't live on the beach. It's super boring. It sucks. I've tried it. It's awful.
Yeah.
So I will just challenge everybody tonight to think about it. You're already going to be a millionaire. Let's just say you are. What am I going to do with all this money going forward? Like Alex says, you need someone to love, something to do, and something to look forward to. And that's really the secret of life. And then before we take off, I got a question for everybody real quick. If you had $10,000 right now, $10,000 right now, and that's all you had, and you put in one coin, that's it. Where would you put it? Vita, I want to start with you.
Oh Lord.
$10,000, but you got like this is for like your family and they're counting on you. People are like, I need that money. So make sure it's the right choice. Which one would it be?
I think I would still put it on XRP.
That's a good one. Okay, Jerry.
Just because of the percentage.
Okay, percentage, sure. Because you're like it's an asymmetrical investment. The upside's so big, right? Okay. Ceej, what do you got?
Definitely XRP. Definitely that, without hesitation.
Jerry?
I'm not part of that group.
What do you got?
$10,000
$10,000
would go into Bitcoin today.
God dang it.
Knowing what I know, because number one, I've already got a monster bag of XRP.
Yeah.
I've got a monster bag of XRP. I was the idiot who put $50,000 into that coin.
It doesn't exist in this scenario.
Is that in this scenario? Oh, I don't. I only have 10,000. I have nothing else. I don't have a portfolio already.
No.
Ooh,
So
that's a completely different question, Rob.
Yeah.
Hang on a second. Okay, 10,000 is all I have, and I don't have nothing else. I'd go. You know what? I'd go XRP too, because it is the best asymmetric bet on the board.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay, I'm going to ask you that same exact question. You don't have a portfolio. You do not have a YouTube career. You do not have a incredible online set of businesses. But I've given you $10,000, Rob. You've got to make something of it, and it's got to be in the digital asset space. What do you do with it?
Hex.
You're gone. All right. So, folks, thank you so very much.
Just kidding.
Are you insane? What are you saying over there in Texas?
Did he say hex?
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you live near Richard Hart? What's going on over there?
That was pretty funny, right? So not that it's funny, not that I'm saying anything about Richard Hart. Actually, I had him on the show, real nice guy, whatever. But no, not Hex. I seriously, if I had $10,000, knowing what I know and the people that I've talked to and where I think it's going, I would put in Bitcoin. I'm going to tell you exactly why. XRP, it has an asymmetrical value to it, right? As far as the investment, it could go up potentially, huge amounts. Huge amounts, right? Could. Ethereum's the same thing. I always think that Ethereum to me is a $10,000 coin, but Bitcoin, even though it is the oldest, probably one of the slowest, it's not the most, exciting, sexy type of technology out there, but it is a safe bet, and I'm conservative, and I just want to go that route, and that is it. Because I know that I know when everybody's coming in, it's on their mind, it's on their lips, it's on every institution. I ask Alex Mascioli this question all the time. Hey man, you talk to the big institutions over there at VQuant. What are they asking for? Is it Ethereum? Is it VeChain? What? He's like, man, it's all Bitcoin. People just want Bitcoin because that's all they know. So that's why I said Bitcoin. And I know some people will slaughter me in the comment section. That's okay. Come at me. But there
is nothing wrong with Bitcoin. Hey, I'm looking at, you know what? We're at peak numbers. There are a ton of people in this stream, and they do not want us to go. I'm going to ask Ceej, because you got here late. Will you stay a little bit longer?
Of course, love to.
I know you're going to stay. Rob, would you stay and field some questions from the audience, and maybe we can let the stream dictate a little bit of where the rest of the end of the show will go?
Sure.
Sounds good.
Let's do it.
All right, Brady, hit us with some stuff. Brady's in the background. He is so engaged in this chat, he probably cannot even hear my voice. Now, ADA, you know what, Rob? ADA didn't come up on that deal. I kind of wanted to talk about ADA a little bit. I am telling you, people who do risk analysis are going to love Cardano on the sheer peer review scholastic approach. Peer review academic approach,
right,
to the way this code has been created. They know the history of the hacks and the debacles with Ethereum.
Yeah.
And they're making it so easy to take projects that were built on other blockchains and convert over to Cardano. The next 18 months is going to be incredibly exciting to see how the world outside of the crypto nuts take to this, because programmable money is huge and it's coming.
Have you ever read that book? Anybody? It's called The Infinite Machine. It was it was a book about the Ethereum mafia, as I call them, all the people that actually created Ethereum. And it was fascinating because Charles Hoskinson pretty much got booted in the middle before Ethereum was launched. And they just said, we don't want it. And he was out. And so when I've had businesses crumble like that before, and I can tell you it really drives a person. So when I see Charles and he's doing his live AMAs, I always feel like he's in it for the long haul and nothing's going to stop him from taking over Ethereum. And you can see it when they talk about Ethereum, it's not good. He wants to overtake Ethereum. And the whole thing that he does, I believe, is pretty much to, knock those guys off the top of the mountain. I don't know if you saw that ERC20 converter where they did an ERC20 converter over to Cardano, took like 5 seconds. So anybody that's on the Ethereum network, they have an ERC20 token, super easy, gone. And they can do it like a blink of an eye. So all these businesses that are like, I don't know about Ethereum 2.0. There was a delay, and now it's not a delay. It's going to take another year to 2 years. But Cardano is right here, and they look to be making some big strides. It's going to be interesting, especially 2021. And it's why I'm going to start my own Cardano stake pool. That's why.
Well, I was just going to ask, I've got all this Cardano, I got like almost 200,000 Cardano, and I just don't know where to put it. Does anybody have any suggestions?
Right here. That's the only suggestion I got. So I'm actually, because I don't have the technical know-how to do that. So a couple of guys reached out to me and they said, hey, we really like your show. We like what you're doing. We were part of the whole test net. We've been doing things with Cardano. We know how it runs. We know how it's going to work, and we know how to keep it safe. So I've been going with them. I've been talking with them for over the last month or so. And it's going to take some time. I think we're going to see this maybe come to fruition next week. But I told these guys to go, look, trust is a currency you can't buy. And I built up a pretty good amount of that on my channel. So it has to be perfect. How you do one thing is how you do all things. So just take your time and let's go through it. So every day I'm talking to them, and I'll let everybody know when it's actually completed.
Well, I just want to take a second and acknowledge DC. Thanks so much for the super chat, man. Jerry's always appreciate your perspective and really enjoyed the show tonight. Thank you, Ceej, Rob, Erie, Jungle, James Rule, Bitta, Brady, everybody that making this show happen. Let me take 2 seconds because a whole bunch of people have come in. Heirloom Heritage, great to have you. Mr. Magoo, I didn't get to acknowledge you before. Robert Haley, Dan T, Chicago Brew, love it, man. Good to have you here. Gerald's excellent to have you. Parish Prince, good to have you. Stephen Kurt, man, longtime subscriber and viewer, good to have you tonight. Eagle, Blockchain Monkeys is in the stream, fellas. Great to have you, brother. Jay Crypto Minded is in the house. Now, we got a couple of guys here. I'm the odd man out because I use Nexo, but both Rob and Ceej, they really like Celsius. Bill Gould has a question, and it didn't make any sense to me. Bill, I am fairly certain, and we'll ask the 2 guys who know a lot about it, Celsius is available in the US. I know it is, right?
I think, now Ceej might correct me, but I'm not sure. Well, first of all, you cannot get any kind of yield into Celsius token if you have any of your cryptocurrency on the app. Like in Europe.
Maybe that's what he meant.
Yeah, in Europe, you can put Bitcoin on and you can say, do you want your yield in Bitcoin or in Celsius token? And then you choose it. And here, they're like, no, you can't do that. Unless, and it's going to change, Ceej, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Q1 2021, if you're a accredited investor, and you make 200,000 or more, then you can sign up for that option.
That is correct. And so, yeah, so it's available. It's kind of it depends on what you mean by, is it available, Bill, in the US? So like, can you download the Celsius app if you're in the United States? Yes. In some states it's restricted, right? In terms of the yield that you earn on Bitcoin or Ethereum or XRP in the States, it's currently, it's like kind, right? So if you deposit BTC, you earn BTC, right? If you deposit XRP, you earn XRP. It's only in Europe where if you deposit, just like Rob was saying, if you deposit Bitcoin or Ethereum, you have the option to earn BTC or the sell token. That's only in Europe. And yeah, he said later on in December or early January, I think it's when they're working on the accredited investors only having the same option as the people in Europe have. In other words, that they can earn sell or BTC if they deposit BTC, but it's only going to be for accredited investors originally.
Let me jump in here real quick. I'm not even going to try to pronounce this name. But I will tell you a great book. It's called The Price of Tomorrow, and it's written by Jeff Booth, and it goes into the deflationary environments created through technologies and network effects. And these things are very important for us investors in the digital asset space to understand. Why? Because that is what DLTs are, is they are networks. Learn about it, understand it, understand the principles that help drive deflation in technology and how that's going to affect you from an economic standpoint. Anyway, great book, highly recommended. Thanks for coming on the show. Man, it's crazy. Welcome. Well, hey, Pete Kelly, nice to see you, man. Look at Legendary's here. Cameron's here. Oh my gosh. Dude, what happened? I mean, the show, we're usually already off the air 40 minutes ago. People are just finding this. You know what it is? It's you two guys. And I think that's the secret. I get handsome, articulate, smart guys and girls to come on the show. I'll just do this. Carry on.
It's usually bitter. It's mostly bitter, I'm sure.
Gotta be better. Absolutely.
I wish that was the case. This has been
Yeah,
awesome. I have a quick question. If we have another moment, it's kind of like I don't know, maybe it's like a little off subject, but do you guys ever think about inflation, or like when the price goes up in a year, like let's say it takes a year or whatever the case it might be? What do you think the role that inflation is going to play? Does that change your price point if you have a cash out point if inflation starts to kick in, or like do you guys ever think about that, or do you think it's just the value that's going to go up without the inflation? Like, what do you guys think about that?
I worry about it, but I mean, the whole point of all this quantitative easing, I mean, really, the purchasing power of the dollar has been decreasing so rapidly now, right? So really what the Fed just did is they just cut down the purchasing power of like 5 to 10% of every American out there. I mean, and then even globally. So it starts, of course, at the top, because the top people get all the money and they get to use whatever they want to, and then it kind of filters down to us. So the purchasing power really is bad. So if we take a look at inflation, about what it's going to do. So if like, hopefully we don't become Germany in the early 1900s. Hopefully we don't become Greece, where we're rolling around dollar bills in a wheelbarrow. Hopefully we don't become Venezuela. But as inflation starts to take effect and you start to see the purchasing power of the dollar drop, the problem is with that is that, unfortunately, Wells Fargo will not take Bitcoin for my mortgage payment. Unfortunately, my investors, they won't take any kind of Ethereum. So with the whole price point, my exit strategy is really not that much as far as cryptocurrency. I always talk about it, but I will never ever sell even the majority of my cryptocurrency. But it is a good between 45 to 55%. So right now, I still will have to sell because I have some things to pay. I have some things that overhead from my other businesses, so I have to. But it does make me leery, and maybe in the future, who knows? We may all be using Diem or Libra, whatever it is. I don't know.
Yeah, I hope not. Yeah, I mean, I agree with Rob as well. I mean, I do worry about inflation. I just. But I only worry about it enough to realize, to remind me of how blessed we are to be early adopters in this, what I believe to be a new asset class. And I think that we're going to move from a debt-based society to an asset-based society. And I know there's some good assets to own out there, but I think digital assets is by far the best asset that you can own. And so just like Rob, and I'm sure Jerry as well, we won't be cashing out in our home into, I call it on our channel, that dirty, nasty fiat, right? We won't be doing that, right? And so we're gonna leverage our assets without question, take advantage of the Celsius platform and collateralize, or earn USDC on our stuff, right? So that's really, for me, that's the hedge. Alex Mashinsky talks about it all the time, and owning non-correlated assets. So we're all blessed in this space that we can acquire assets, right? And if you use the Celsius platform or platforms like it, you can earn interest on those assets, and you can then leverage your assets like the 1% of the 1% do. They don't liquidate their assets, right? They leverage their assets. And so, we're blessed to be in a position to be able to do that. I don't think ever in the history of finance have we been in a position where we can invest just like the billionaires, right? Billionaires and hedge funds, they're coming into this space and they want the Bitcoin all that Bitcoin that Rob has, right? They want all the XRP, right? They want all the XRP that Jerry has, right? That's never happened before, right? That's never ever happened before, where Jerry or myself, you did, or Rob, we can compete. We can go out and get the asset, right? Without being part of the good old boy network, without having to know someone who knows someone, right? We can all go in there and acquire assets. And so I do think about inflation, but it reminds me about, quite honestly, how blessed we are to be able to have an option that can deal with that, right? And increase our position. Because if we do move to this asset-based society, which I really truly believe that we do, that we're we're just in a blessed spot. We know about stuff, Jerry. We know about stuff. I'm telling you that hedge funds, they don't even know yet. They have no clue yet. They're learning, but they don't know. Like,
well, and I'll tell you, Bitter, this is the thing, and it's very difficult math. It's very difficult math, and I'm not going to presume or try to portray to the audience or any of you that I can calculate it in my head, because I cannot. But what I can do is tell you with absolute certainty, since the United States went off the gold standard, became a global reserve currency, the federal government, through its deficit spending, has created monetary policy that forces the central bank and the Treasury to create massive amount of debt and issue more currency into the system. And the reason they have had to do that, they're forced into this. They have no choice. When you create inflation in your currency, the money that I create today, I'm creating more of it. It's going to affect the value of everything else. So, for instance, when I'm creating debt today to pay off old debt, it's actually the dollars are cheaper. They have less purchasing power. So that's the story on inflation. Now let's talk about going forward. If all the governments in the entire world are forced through reasons of COVID, reasons of deficit spending, etc., the economies and GDP being crap, velocity of money around the world crap, if they're forced to continue to stimulate, then everything is relative, right? So we have asset prices like stocks and certain residential areas of real estate that are going up exponentially in the world's worst economy we've ever seen. Why is that? It's called inflation.
Right.
That is where those dollars are going. Now, inflation as it pertains to you and how much you pay for your rent, or how much you pay for a gallon of gas, or a gallon of milk to give your beautiful little princess daughter, right?
Right.
If you look over history, since we went off the US dollar, the exponential rise in the cost of goods has gone up. All right? That's just a fact.
Yep.
So the question isn't about inflation, it's about purchasing power. How much milk will your Bitcoin buy you next year relative to today? How much will a US dollar buy milk today, and how much milk can you buy in 1 year from today? That should be what you're looking at, because that is what matters to you. You're not paying off deficits. You don't have a corporate treasury that you've issued bonds against. You're a consumer in this economy. So the only inflation you care about is how much milk is this dollar buying me? And if you want to understand your position in this marketplace, get into a digital asset like Bitcoin, Ethereum, or XRP and measure that against a gallon of milk, and then do it again a year from now and see which can buy you more. If I put $1 into XRP today or $1 into Bitcoin today, am I going to be able to buy more milk a year from now than a US dollar will buy? It's the same dollar, right? Right? $1 now and $1 next year. I will guarantee you will buy less milk next year with your US dollar, and you will maybe get to buy the same amount of milk with that dollar worth of Bitcoin, or even more. You may be able to buy double the amount of milk with that same $1 of Bitcoin you bought last year. That is how consumers and people, normal retailers like us, should try to view inflation, because that's where you live. That's our environment. We're not corporate treasuries. We're not sovereign nations dealing with, military budgets or commodity subsidies or any of those things. We'll leave that to the knuckleheads that we have elected. That is the advantage we have in this space. We're in a deflationary asset from a monetary supply, but an inflationary asset as it relates to the value of existing monetary supplies around the world. So
That's awesome.
when you start talking about these things, you got to understand there's no simple little answer for the word inflation. Hey, how do you feel about inflation? You know what I mean? It's a big, big, big topic. Brady, you want to chime in on this? The stream just keeps getting bigger, guys. I don't know what this is. This is, you know what it is? We're on a bull run in this stream. We started out with a low value stream. That low value stream was me talking by myself, right? Bring in Britta, the audience goes up. Bring in Ceej, audience goes up. Bring in Rob from Digital Asset News, it goes up. And because you guys are still here, it's still going up. This is insane. This isn't right.
That is crazy.
I'm curious, does it show on you guys' live that you are live as well? Just like other platforms to your audience? I'm
No,
just curious.
StreamYard, I actually don't know how many people are on the YouTube counter. I can only see what StreamYard's telling me are people that are actually in here. So I don't really know.
Yeah, the only thing I do is I just put a little post, and I say, "Hey, I'm here with Jerry and Ceej and Bitta, and we're just talking about whatever. So come join me live." I said something like, "I just got in El Paso."
Mm-hmm.
That's all I said.
Yeah.
That's
So,
awesome.
But yeah, I don't think it YouTube will go to Crypto Ceej's channel and everybody else's channel and say,
No.
no,
got to do it.
I see a lot of
It does that on Instagram. So that's why I was curious. 'Cause
Oh,
it does that on, if I see it on live on Instagram and
Ooh.
Jerry joins me, it tells all my audience and all Jerry's audience that we are both live. And so it kind of just brings everybody in. So
My birthday gift. Yes, it was. Yes, thank you very much. It was my birthday yesterday. I turned 55.
Oh,
Here.
happy belated, bro.
Young.
happy birthday.
Happy
You know what
birthday.
Guess how I celebrated?
Oh,
Yeah.
Wow.
I bought some Bitcoin.
There you go.
I'm a
Smarter thing
dip
you could have spent on.
mofo. I bought the dip, baby. No, here's the deal. I've had a goal for a long, long time to get myself to that one Bitcoin. I own a full Bitcoin. That's what I really, really wanted. And I was knocking on the door at the 0.87 mark for a long time. I've had it sitting on Nexo earning interest every day, but it's not earning interest fast enough to get me to that one full Bitcoin so that I could say at 55 years old, I have a full Bitcoin.
Right.
So I broke down and sold off some of my profits and my Cardano, because I have so many of those suckers. And I topped it up. I have a full Bitcoin on my 55th birthday. Jerry for the win.
nice job, brother.
Jerry for the win.
Good job.
Nice job for sure. And there's still a lot of people here from the channel. Wrangler Ross said, "Isn't RSR? You guys familiar with RSR? Isn't that dealing with the inflation issue?" And my understanding is it is Wrangler Raw. It's a very, very interesting project, and the two coin model that they have, I think, is working on that in Venezuela and I think one other place. But that's what I believe, Wrangler Raw. It's good to see you're an RSR fan. Do you guys know what Reserve Protocol is?
Yeah. No.
It's a good one. It's a good one to look into. Check it out.
Well, give us the elevator pitch. You can't leave me.
And I'm going to give my, kind of my layman's, pitch on it. It's a 2-token system. There's RSR, which is kind of what you and I would be interested in acquiring, right? And then there's RSV, which is like their stable coin, coin. And what they're looking to do is to kind of to bring more value or better value to the whole stable coin business model and make it work model, make sense, right? And so what they decided to do with their project was to kind of go into the areas where their fiat has failed and introduce their 2-token system into that place. So whether that be Venezuela, I think they started with Venezuela, or maybe it'd be Turkey or whatever. And and it's really doing well and catching on there. Interestingly enough, but his thinking was, and I forget the guy's name, but his thinking was, let's go into a market where the fiat has failed. That economy definitely failed, and let's introduce this and see if we can't recover that economy, right? Because remember, it's a stable coin, right? So they got a stable coin, and they got an asset that goes up in value, right? That's the RSR. And so that's kind of it for me, my kind of understanding behind it. But when I watch the videos of those guys, I really feel like, and this is a big stretch, but I feel like their team is very similar to Ripple's team, especially with focused on an intent, right? Focused on this intent to do good, right? To do well by doing good first. And so I think, for me, that's the message that I get from those guys. There's some young guys over there, but that's what I get. And I like what the problem that they're trying to tackle. I think it's going to take some time. I love the strategy that they took to kind of go into those areas where it's been proven that the currency is done, it hasn't worked, and implement something there. So it's an interesting project.
That is interesting. That's what it should be for, right? That's what cryptocurrency was supposed to be built on, to help bank the unbanked and the people that are downtrodden. So that sounds like a pretty good project.
Yeah, and we can't, I can't overlook the fact that it's just the backers are just phenomenal. I mean, the people backing that, PayPal, Peter Thiel, and the whole 9 yard, all the VC stuff kind of behind it. That's interesting to me.
I have a question for you guys, and this is a question for anybody who thinks there's value in stablecoins, and this is my question. If a stablecoin is pegged to a global currency, let's say the US dollar, I don't know what this RSR would be pegged to, but it has to be pegged to something and maintain that, hence stablecoin. Why in the world would anybody ever invest in a project for a stablecoin to an inflationary asset that loses value over time? There's no currency on the planet that gains value over time. They all lose value over time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's a great question, right?
What makes it an investable asset?
Yeah.
The network fees to use it?
Yep.
Well, guess what? There's 500 assets on the board that don't have a fee. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm thinking like an investor. Why would I invest in a project that the asset doesn't appreciate?
Yeah. And think about this too. And it's funny too, because this is exactly what the guy from Reserve Protocol said, right? So they said, initially we're going to have our stable coin be backed by this dollar, right? Because that's what everyone else has done. But it's only for a short period of time that we're going to be doing it. Eventually, we're going to have other things backing the stable coin. I thought it was interesting. It's a great point. I thought it was interesting that what was the recent news with Circle in the USDC? There was some recent news.
Yeah. So there's an initiative, and this is actually being backed by a federal agency to help circumvent the tyrannical rule of Maduro in Venezuela. Aid workers and other foreigners who are in Venezuela doing their aid work will be paid in the USDC coin.
Wow.
Okay.
Now, that's an interesting deal, because now there'll be injections, right? Injections of a non-sovereign currency into a country that already has 10, 15 non-sovereign currencies rolling around in the private sector. Now we're adding another one, but it's actually getting backing literally from the United States of America. It is like the biggest FU to Maduro you could do. And it's all over the news.
Yeah.
It's part of that. And then Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, she put forth legislation and said that she wanted to make sure that this new technology that is emerging, cryptocurrency digital assets, that it will not run rampant in her community. And she's worried that these corporations, which like Circle, Tether, all these different companies that Paxos that make these stable coins, that they will rule supreme, and they will take advantage of the unbanked, the downtrodden, the people that are poor. And she says, we shouldn't allow, it's a weird thing. She said, we shouldn't allow these entities to be able to produce these types of currencies, and we should leave that to the banks, which is very odd, but that's what she says. So it was a thing that actually Brian Brooks, it was an article about what Brian Brooks, the office of the comptroller, the premier, the guy, the main gentleman that runs it there. And I said, this is a perfect opportunity to sit her down and to sit those whole Congress people down and say, look, this is what cryptocurrency was built for. It is an open, decentralized platform. And we are not going to be Wells Fargo. We're not going to be Chase Bank. This is what it was created for. You don't understand. If you give it back to the banks, you're doing the exact opposite of what makes it great. And I think this was actually one that Michael in the chat we're talking about. It doesn't have any legs. I don't think it'll get passed, but it is a scary thought because it shows you how ignorant that people in Congress and Senate and everybody that really they are. I mean, there's very few, but they really need to be educated a little bit more. That's all. Yeah,
absolutely. And the announcement was Circle and Visa.
Yes.
Partner to bring the USDC to their businesses.
Yeah, because sorry, Ceej. So if that went through, that would make them illegal. They couldn't do it because they're a private corporation, not a bank.
It's exciting. I just caught, speaking of regulatory eckiness, our crypto-friendly head of the Financial Services Committee in the House of Representatives, Maxine Bitcoin Waters, is issuing a plea to presidential-elect Joe Biden. Mr. Biden, sir, please roll back all them silly guidances from the OCC weirdo Mr. Brian Brooks, please. Somebody vote that knucklehead out of. See, here's the thing. We're in the United States. We vote these people into office. You know what I mean? You got a problem. I'm telling anybody, you got a problem with what goes on in the House and the Senate. You got nobody to blame but yourself. If you ain't out there ringing the bell and talking to people about these lawmakers, then you're going to get what you get. We're in a democracy, like it or not. If you want things to change, you got to do something about it. So get involved. You can't sit on your ass watching The Simpsons in the next episode of Survivor and get mad because things ain't happening the way you like them to, and you ain't done nothing about it.
Yeah, that's exactly
what
right.
I have to say. I'm done. That's my political soapbox for the night, folks. Thank you for tuning in.
Can I have a quick announcement? Well, not an announcement, advertisement, if that's okay.
Sure.
Well, absolutely. Hold on one second. We're going to fix this. We're going to. Oops. How come it's not going?
Oh, for you guys, for everybody that's in the audience and everybody else, if you guys want to follow me on Instagram, I'm under Beta Avenue. If you guys want to come have a chat, if there's a coin you guys want to talk about or educate me about anything, I'm open to having a conversation. So if you guys want to reach out to me, come on Instagram under my name, and I'm open to learn more about the whole space. So that'd be great.
That is not an advertisement. We call that in the business. That's the shameless plug.
Yes, there we go.
That's good enough. Good enough.
Can I get a shameless plug?
Beta Avenue.
See, please.
What's?
Give yourself a shameless plug. Let's plug your channel.
Who?
Your Twitter. Ceej.
Me? Oh, me?
You're the one, baby.
Yeah. Well, I just I'm crypto. You can follow me on crypto_Ceej, CEEJ, on Twitter, and I just on Facebook it's the Crypto Ceej, and on YouTube it's just Crypto Ceej. The thing that I think I'm most proud of on the YouTube channel is on Wednesdays we do the Generational Wealth Wednesdays, where we talk traditional finance and preparing for generational wealth, what that looks like. We read great books together. We talk about learning how to put a financial team together and learning that together, what that looks like. So Crypto Ceej on YouTube. But I think Wednesdays, although 6 days out of the week, I talk crypto. And on Wednesdays, I'd like to talk about the traditional finance and how to prepare for the generational wealth. So,
wow, you're a busy guy. Rob, not that half the audience that's in this isn't from you already. For that one or two person that's in the stream, can we get a shameless plug for the digital asset news? Dan teaches crypto, and of course, digital asset news on Twitter.
People understand as best I possibly could. So if you're looking for a free site that helps you with all those things, especially a little bit of investment advice, a little bit of how to do things, how do I buy theta, how do I buy all these things, how do I have an exit strategy, danteachescrypto.com. 100% free. The only thing I ask is that you do two things: check out the YouTube channel and then tell two people, and that's it.
Right on. I'm going to jump in here because you guys, both of you, brought so many new people to the stream tonight. I'm Jerry Hall. My YouTube, obviously, is Jerry V. Hall. I'm Jerry V. Hall on Twitter, and I'm Jerry V. Hall on Facebook. Now, the thing that I have to offer, on my YouTube channel, I have playlists. This particular show is called Market Conversations. It's a live stream. It has its own playlist. I have an entire set of program called Crypto Wealth Series, Beyond Moon, and it talks about everything from understanding sudden wealth syndrome to goal setting and preparing and designing an exit strategy. I have interviews with tax attorneys, wealth managers, people that put together estate planning, all the wealth management resource type of stuff that you might want to glean so that when you go talk to your potential team, you have some stuff in the arsenal, right? You know what I mean? You have a little something in there to gauge what conversations are going on with, right? So please like and subscribe to the channel. It does help me. I mean, I'm nowhere as big as Ceej yet. And, geez, Rob's built up a heck of a channel. But there's some good content. And then aside from that, and this is where I think I shine, or at least I feel I shine, is I've got an entire series called One-on-One. And it's me doing interviews with billionaire investors, developers, and even common normal folks just like you and me who are in this space. I've got authors who have written, best-selling books on finance, billionaire investors, guys from Wall Street. I must have, 10 different folks from the Real Vision channel have come and done shows with me. Really insightful stuff. So check it out. If you're new, hit the like, subscribe, and go check those things out. It is time for me to say goodnight to Ceej, Bitta, and Rob, but I want to invite you, if you want to hang out for a couple minutes for the after show, which is not recorded, hang out in the green room. But it's time. I can't deny him any longer. I want to bring in my ace producer, the guy who keeps this whole thing running, Brady. Brady, come on in and do final thoughts with me, man. Brady is so busy, he has to be in two places at one time to do this show, but he manages to make it happen. And one of these devices, he'll actually talk through and share his final thoughts.
Yeah, well, to say the least, I literally have too many. See this phone? I literally have too many screens, conversations, objects, and food too close to me to pay attention to one thing at once. But what an interesting night. Yeah, that's that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Oh, hold on. Now I can't hear you. Ah, wait a minute.
Hey, Jerry? Jerry, no audio.
I have no audio. You mean all those nuggets that I just rolled, the pearls that I just rolled out?
Sorry, I don't think anyone can hear
Oh,
you, and they can only hear
Yeah.
me.
I was
I
trying to type all
I
that.
don't know.
I apologize, everybody. Simon, thank you so much for the super chat, man. I really appreciate it. I fixed the audio. When the whole Brady going in and out and in and out and in and out, I accidentally hit the mute button on my microphone. I apologize. But I want to say thank you to everybody that was here tonight. Whether you're new or old, great to have you. And what I conveyed.
Am I the only one that can be heard at the moment? Is that what's going on? Now we can. Oh, geez. Ella Poole, how you doing?